Search for humanoid robot deployment numbers in 2026, and you will find plenty of confident figures. 50,000 units, 10,000 deployments, 1,000 robots on a production line. These numbers get repeated constantly in headlines and investor decks alike. Almost none of them come from the companies they describe in any audited or verifiable form. One robotics company's numbers, by contrast, come from someone else entirely. Their customers' own public statements. That distinction is the whole story. Tesla's Optimus program generates enormous public attention, and widely circulated figures claim the company has passed 50,000 cumulative units, with over 1,000 actively working Tesla's production lines. Here is a detail that gets lost in the repetition. Tesla has never published an audited Optimus production count of any kind. These specific figures don't originate from Tesla's own investor filling or official disclosures. They circulate through secondary reporting and enthusiast estimation, then get cited as established fact. The clearest signal here actually comes directly from Tesla's own CEO on the company's fourth quarter 2025 earnings call held January 28, 2026. Elon Musk told investors that Optimus units were primarily deployed for learning and data collection rather than performing genuinely productive factory work, and described the entire program as still in its research phase. He went further, conceding directly that Optimus was not being used in Tesla's factories in any materially productive way. That statement arrived roughly 1 week after Tesla had publicly announced that Gen 3 production had begun, an apparent contradiction that resolves once you separate a robot's physical presence on a factory floor from its actually performing useful, productive work. Contrast that with Figure AI, a considerably less publicly hyped competitor. Figure 02 robot completed an 11-month pilot program at BMW Group's Plant Spartanburg, and critically, the performance numbers describing that pilot come from BMW's own public statements, not from Figure's marketing materials. According to BMW, Figure 02 ran real production shifts Monday through Friday for approximately 10 months, contributing to the production of more than 30,000 X3 vehicles and loading over 90,000 sheet metal parts during that period. Because these figures come from the customer describing work performed on their own production line rather than from the robotics vendor itself, they carry a fundamentally different and much stronger evidentiary weight. This isn't case for dismissing humanoid robotics as a vaporware. The underlying pilots across multiple companies are genuinely real, and the capability demonstrated is a real advance over what existed even 2 or 3 years ago. It is a case for a specific disciplined evaluation standard. Was its number published by the company selling the robot, or independently confirmed by the customer actually using it? Figure's second commercial deployment at a different paying customer reportedly took only about 30 days to implement, down from 11 months for the first, a real independently referenced signal of genuine deployment velocity improving, which is a meaningfully different claim than an unverified total unit count. It is worth understanding the specific incentive structure that makes humanoid robotics usually susceptible to this pattern. Several of the leading companies remain privately held, valued in the billions of dollars based substantially on future potential rather than current audited revenue or deployment figures, which creates a direct financial incentive to project momentum through headline-friendly numbers rather than granular, verifiable data. Tesla is a partial exception in that It is publicly traded, but Optimus specifically sits inside a much larger company's broader disclosures without its own dedicated audited reporting line. Tesla's 2026 capital expenditure has reportedly more than doubled to $20 billion, with a meaningful share directed at Optimus manufacturing. Yet the resulting unit economics remain opaque to outside analysts. This is a structural feature of how earlier stage capital-intensive robotics ventures are financed, not a claim of deliberate deception by any specific company. But it's precisely why independent customer-sourced verification matters so much more here than in more mature, disclosure-heavy industries. A separate, less covered thread in this story involved Chinese humanoid manufacturers, particularly Unitree, which reportedly ships more humanoid robots than any Western competitor, at roughly a tenth of the price of comparable Western systems, notably even at the leading market position. Unitree's own first quarter 2026 profit reportedly fell by half, a data point that cuts against the narrative of straightforwardly booming profitable humanoid robot demand, and suggests that the entire industry, East and West, is still absorbing significant costs to build market share and iterate hardware, well ahead of demonstrating durable profitability at scale. Chinese firms, including Fourier Intelligence and AGI BOT, represent a substantial separate competitive cohort, backed by considerable state industrial policy support, through their export potential into Western markets remains constrained by geopolitical factors similar to those discussed elsewhere in this series regarding semiconductor and critical mineral supply chain. The practical framework that emerges from this comparison generalizes well beyond robotics. Weight any capability claimed by its source. A number published by the company selling the technology without independent audits should be treated as a marketing input, not a verified fact. A number confirmed by the actual customer using the technology in their own operations, specifically a customer with no particular incentive to inflate the vendor's numbers, carries meaningfully more evidentiary weight. This is precisely the same discipline that mattered when evaluating deepfake fraud statistics earlier in this series, applied here to industrial technology instead of cybercrime. Humanoid robotics in 2026 is a genuinely real, genuinely advancing field. The mistake isn't believing that progress is happening. It is accepting unverified numbers as evidence of exactly how much progress and how fast the companies with the loudest claims and the companies with the strongest evidence are not. It turns out always the same companies. That gap is worth watching closely because it's very likely to persist as this industry scales. Thank you so much for your presence. I'm really looking forward to see you in the next deep dive.